physically present quorum of the Rock Island City Council due to the disaster declaration issued by Governor Pritzker. Because of this order related to COVID-19 health concerns affecting the state and the city, the mayor has determined that an in-person meeting at City Hall with all participants may not be practical or prudent. Alderpersons and staff may not all be physically present at City Hall due to the disaster, and physical attendance at City Hall may be limited. To participate remotely during the public comment or public hearing portion of this meeting, please join by phone at 1-678-487-6879, PIN 449-156-282 #.
Thank you. Roll call.
Alderperson Robinson. Hurt.
Here.
Gilbert.
Present.
Swanson.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Poulos.
Here.
Mayor Tomes.
Here. Real good. Okay, public comment. Does anybody wish to speak virtually or in person here? Well, that would be for the next meeting though, too. Thanks. Anybody want to speak this meeting? We'll have another opportunity next meeting. Seeing none, we will move forward. Calling Jack. Calling to talk about rebuild downtown Rock Island.
Great. 1 second.
The new father.
That's right. Yes, last time I was here, expecting father, now father. But thank you, Council, for the opportunity to talk to you tonight. I have been honored and privileged to work on behalf of the City of Rock Island since starting in this position last April to come up with some exciting plans with business owners and property owners in our downtown steering committee to help revitalize downtown Rock Island. And also to really invest and leverage the $1.5 million in TIF funds that we have to benefit the infrastructure downtown. So we'll be talking about plans tonight that we've been working on, like I said, with our downtown steering committee, with the help of Streamline Architects, as well as others. But when I said leverage our downtown TIF funds, I said that because, we started with $1.5 million to invest in downtown infrastructure. And over the past several months, some major grant opportunities have risen to the surface, specifically from the state of Illinois, that we see that we could properly leverage those TIF dollars. So the plans that we'll be discussing tonight, we see as a prime opportunity to kickstart revitalization of downtown Rock Island. And we really do think that this proposed project will dramatically enhance the quality of place downtown. That really will, we believe, attract more businesses, more visitors, and the businesses' talent to downtown. And one point that's not up here, but when we talk about improvements to our shared or public spaces in downtown, this will benefit the adjacent business owners. And really, that will help us accelerate our recovery from the COVID pandemic because those small businesses will be driving that recovery for the city. So, when we talk about rebuild downtown Rock Island and our plans, we're really divided into 4 main areas of focus. So we have the new vision reconstruction of the Great River Plaza, the complete activation of Arts Alley, which we talked about back in October, a wide array of streetscaping improvements throughout the downtown, everything from new pedestrian scale lamp poles, decorative signage, landscaping, additional security cameras, repairs to existing public art, as well as some alley and sidewalk reconstruction. And the 4th focus area is a downtown dog park. So I will get into the details here on the following slides, but we're going to jump right into the renderings. So as we go through some of these renderings from our partners at Streamline Architects, it's important to remember that these are a representation of the new vision that we're talking about. Nothing is exactly set in stone, but this should give council and the public that's tuning in tonight a very solid idea of the things that we're talking about, the ways that we're working to make improvements to the downtown urban landscape. So first here, this is a design of a re-envisioned Great River Plaza, specifically the one block pedestrian mall, the 1900 block of 2nd Avenue. So the current plans that we're working with call for a complete reconstruction of the plaza. So that is demolishing the existing structures on the block, renewing the utilities, so a lot of underground work, and then also then modernizing the space with fresh amenities that people have come to expect when they go and visit, an exciting, vibrant community. So that's everything from the decorative lighting. You'll see the string lighting between the lamp poles there, the outdoor seating. So this is designated private outdoor seating for restaurants. We saw during the pandemic that there was a major call for more outdoor seating at restaurants and bars. And so we thought that this would be a great way to help freshen up the space. Additionally, a lot of new landscaping that you can see here. And one piece that you can't see, and that is turfing, part of the lot that's adjacent to the daiquiri factory. So this would be turned into kind of a multi-use space that could be used for performances, any sort of different event, small event or special gathering. Could be used for a spike ball tournament or bags tournament, whatever. But a multi-use green space that's just on the other end of this block. So one thing to note about the plaza is that earlier this year, we surveyed business owners and property owners right along the plaza, and it was evident from their responses that an update is needed. It is nearly 50 years old, and so these are the plans that we've been working on since surveying them. This does call for the block to remain a pedestrian mall plaza, but does so in a way that gives us the flexibility to turn it into a through roadway if desired later on. But we think with the proper activation programming of this space, with the outdoor seating, the multi-use performance space, as well as some of the other amenities that are added here, we think it sets us up for a successful plaza area that we really do think will benefit the adjacent businesses. Moving on, Arts Alley. Most of you saw these designs at our last meeting in October. Now, we do have a separate grant in with the state of Illinois asking for close to $250,000 to help us activate this space with public art, a lot of the similar hard and soft landscaping features, pop-up vendor stalls. We are hopeful, and this is what we've heard from the state, is that we will potentially hear back before the end of the year on that grant, but it could be in January. So by the end of the year would be 3 months since we submitted it, and that's the initial timeline that they gave us. So we're still hopeful we hear by January 1st, but it could be right after the year. This is an exciting element of the downtown project that we're looking at. This is a gateway signage. So we're standing here at Schwiebert Park, looking across First Avenue on 18th Street. So as people gather at Schwiebert for events or the farmer's market or the splash pad or walking the riverfront trail, this is the gateway sign that's right off Great River Road. A welcome to our downtown Rock Island. And the district, that again, it's not set in stone, the specific text on this sign, but most of us know downtown Rock Island, or the core of it, as the district. It's a brand that's still out there. We know that we still need to establish kind of a new brand as we're working to market and promote downtown Rock Island. The other meaning behind the district, though, we believe, is that it is now a nationally designated historic district, designation that came just before the pandemic shutdowns. So we're celebrating that with the signage as well. And it's lit up, so this is a nighttime view of going into the core of downtown. This is now looking the other way. So this is an idea that we've stolen from other communities, placemaking signage, you could call it, but big block letters that just help us with our branding downtown. So this would be at Schwiebert Park potentially, and this is helping connect the downtown area with the riverfront, which is a major priority in the revitalization plan that the downtown did. But Rockford, Illinois has these letters, for example, in a similar type of park. Now it's not on the Mississippi River, so we have that going for us, but the response that they've seen from these big block letters has been huge. I mean, it's just a big push on social media. People love going there, taking pictures with it. It's showing off that civic pride. And so this could go multiple areas downtown, but we really like the idea of putting it at Schwiebert Park on the riverfront, our great asset there. And then when you turn around, you're looking at that gateway sign and the improvements in the downtown core. Just an image of the letters lit up at night. Another example of this closer to home, Mercado on 5th actually just also introduced these big block letters on its property this summer and made a similar splash. People taking photos with it and just generating a lot of positive buzz on social media. Example of signage and what one of our streets would look like. So you see the decorative lighting in between the new lamp poles. So the lamp poles that exist on 2nd Avenue currently, and some parts of 3rd Avenue and some other parts of the downtown are these nice black pedestrian scale lamp posts. We're looking at replacing all the other existing lamp posts throughout the downtown with these black ones and adding some of this wayfinding signage, specifically this downtown historic district signage on some of those poles, and stringing decorative lights in between those poles, just to help, again, create that attractive environment that really is welcoming when you come into a space to see this type of lighting. You see that the space is cared for, that we think really could make a good impact. This is a different view of what a street could look like. You see the decorative lighting, crosswalk paint, which, again, this is a representation of what could be. Crosswalk paint is very popular in some communities, and it also helps just improve overall pedestrian walkability as well as safety for those walking throughout a downtown, which we know we need more of in our downtown. People walking from businesses to lunch or after work social hours. And so part of these plans is to do a variety of crosswalk paint that could be put in intersections in the downtown. The dog park component, which may have surprised some of you, but we know that there are a significant amount of dog owners downtown, as well as a need for more dog parks in the community. So this started because Illinois Casualty Company, which owns property across from 21st, at the intersection of 21st Street and 3rd Avenue, across from Rostock's and Ragged Records. They own this property. They had initially planned to turn it into a parking lot or use it for something for their business. But as the pandemic hit, they saw another opportunity. They wanted to activate the current vacant space and turn it into some sort of a park to honor their founding family, the Klockow family that was committed to doing business in downtown Rock Island, committed to keeping Illinois Casualty Company in downtown when they constructed that building. So they are willing to donate the land as well as $100,000 toward the development of this dog park that, again, would have some of the exciting features of the lighting, the public art, and just a great way to activate a space that's not really being used. Now, if you went down to that intersection any day this week, you'd probably see some of the condo owners, Dumarché residents, taking their dogs for a stroll in that lot. As I think about 2/3 of the residents there have dogs, so they were excited to hear the news of this. But we think this also would generate, more sales at the adjacent businesses. Rostock's now has a walk-up window across the street that people, dog owners, would be able to patronize before or after taking their pup here. So definitely an exciting piece. There are, and when we look at the draft budget here, there are a lot of components that aren't in the renderings that are in these plans. And so I'll provide a little bit more detail as we go through this. But really, when we're looking at the new vision and the reconstruction of the plaza, we're talking about a $1.5 million project. We have the Arts Alley billed at about $540,000. That number is completely exact because we've crunched all the numbers and we put that grant application into the state. We're looking at about $4.75 million in the streetscaping elements. So as I talked about, the replacement of all the lamp poles, making those pedestrian scale lamp poles, the uniform look downtown. And a good example of these is if you're, well really, I believe they're from 4th Street to 21st Street on 7th Avenue. So if after tonight's meeting you were to drive west on 7th Avenue, you would get the feel that those lights create. It's a beautiful thing when they're on both sides of the street. And it's just that uniform look and feel at a pedestrian level. The string lighting, as I said, between the lamp poles in different areas, as well as lighting of the WHBF tower. We were inspired by some TV stations throughout the country that do like an annual lighting of their large television tower. And so specifically downtown Sioux Falls, they have a Nexstar TV station as well. And so we've linked up with WHBF to talk about the possibility of doing something like this where we could annually light that tower or light it for special occasions throughout the year. And so they're working with us on that, but are very excited that this would be a part of the plans. The gateway signage, which we covered at 1st Street and 18th Avenue, and the placemaking signage at Schreiber Park, the painted crosswalks, the repair and replacement of public art installations. So this is a conversation that came out of a conversation with Quad City Arts as well as the Public Arts Commission, is that we have some great art pieces that exist downtown, but some that really could use some TLC. And so we've identified several pieces that we could allocate some dollars from this project to go towards. So that includes the Black Hawk mural on the back of the Best Building, the railroad and steamboat mural on Steve's Old Time Tap, the treble clef that's across from Arts Alley on 2nd Avenue, the mural on 4th Avenue of the historical figures that is in disrepair, the street murals that are on 3rd Avenue, so block down, starting at Illinois Casualty really, there's paint and designs on the street there that we believe could be replaced with some of this crosswalk art that we're talking about. And then the mural as well on the back of the Centennial Bridge building that is in need of repair. Additionally, security cameras. So identifying some areas along 3rd Avenue that the police department currently does not have eyes on. And so those discussions are continuing. 2nd Avenue has security cameras throughout the core there, but there's definitely some opportunity to enhance the site of the security cameras downtown on the 3rd Avenue corridor. One thing I missed is also, I mentioned the string lighting. One specific spot here was the alleyway between 2nd and 3rd Avenues and 18th and 19th Street. Now this is a great thoroughfare for pedestrians, for people coming downtown. Say you're waiting to get in at the Pancake House some morning and you want to take a stroll, or you're here for a show at Circa 21 some night and you want to go get a drink at Ribco or Daiquiri Factory or Icons. This is an alleyway that connects those corridors, those retail corridors, as we say. So we have plans to light up that alleyway with the decorative lighting, so it enhances the feel of safety, security at night. Is also good for the employees who work at WHBF and the other adjacent buildings there. Sidewalk replacement, as well as alleyway. So these are some big ticket items within the budget here that we hope we can accomplish. The alleyway reconstruction, we're specifically thinking about two alleyways in the core of downtown. One between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, between 17th and 18th Street and 2nd and 3rd Avenue. So essentially connecting the Hotel Holiday Inn, Steve's Old Time Tap, and the area that shoots out by Huckleberry's. Stern Center, Bridges Catering, they use this alley daily to load up stock. It's heavily used by the businesses that are adjacent there. The other alleyway that we'd be looking at reconstructing is the one between 3rd and 4th Avenue and 18th and 19th Street. So during the course of the pandemic, District Drugs Pharmacy downtown completely shifted its business model and started serving most of its patients and customers through their drive-through, which is in that alleyway. And that is another area that's in need of repair that we think would benefit the existing businesses there. The sidewalk replacement that we're proposing is where we had that gateway signage at 1st and 18th. If you walk down there tonight, you'd be disappointed, I would say, by the state of the sidewalk. It is in need of repair, and if we're having people walk from Schwiebert into downtown, it needs to be repaved and done in a way that we're proud of. So we're looking at both sides of 18th Street there, and then as farther south on 18th Street by the new federal building. And so looking at that block, basically on both sides of the street, where the law center is on the east side and the new federal building is on the west side. In addition to that, we're looking at a half block on 19th Street, where we are hopeful that there will be some new development in the coming months and years. But this would be at the east side of the corner of 1st and 19th. So redoing the sidewalk where we're anticipating some exciting development. Brings us to our downtown dog park, $300,000, and really a state-of-the-art dog park. This would be turfing that lot, adding nice fencing, lighting, all the utilities necessary to have a facility like this, as well as some of the signage that would be dedicated to the Klockow family for keeping Illinois Casualty Company in downtown Rock Island. So this brings us to a total price tag of about $7 million. And the next step is, okay, how are we going to pay for that? And so this is the funding proposal that we're looking at. And as I said, we started with $1.5 million in TIF to invest in the downtown infrastructure. We first started thinking, how can we invest these funds? How can we make the biggest bang for our buck? And then we looked to how do we leverage these funds? And so tonight, we'll be asking for council's consideration to designate $2.5 million in its ARPA funds toward these exciting downtown improvements. Because we're seeking $3 million from the state of Illinois' Rebuild Downtown Grant. And I wouldn't be coming to you tonight on behalf of the Downtown Rock Island Steering Committee asking you about this, ahead of allocating other dollars, but we have confirmed and recently learned from the state of Illinois that although it's not required, it's not written out in the notice of funding opportunity, if we can lock in funding as the local match, because there is a 50% local match required for this grant, if we can lock that funding in, we can score significantly higher during the review process. And so that's why we're coming to you tonight, seeing the $2.5 million in ARPA ask. And this, if you do the math, 2.5 plus 1.5, 2.5 million from ARPA, 1.5 in TIF, well, that exceeds 3 million. That exceeds 50% of the match. The reason we're proposing that is because we also know if we can exceed that 50% threshold, we will also receive more points on our application. So the goal here is how do we best leverage city dollars, these dollars for downtown, to make the biggest splash, the biggest tangible impact we can downtown. And we believe that doing these things will really make it hard for the state to say no. When reading through this grant opportunity, the Rebuild Downtowns grant, it was designed to help communities like downtown Rock Island that were hit hard by the pandemic really accelerate recovery from the economic crisis experienced by the city and our small business owners during the pandemic. One thing I'll note, we have the private investment here of $100,000. We believe that if the alleyway reconstructions are included in the grant, we've had some preliminary discussions with private property owners that use that alleyway for their business, that they would be interested in contributing funds to this as well. So further leveraging dollars that we have here locally. So specifically, I've had preliminary conversations with District Drugs as well as the Stern Center that use their respective alleyways. So as I said, tonight is really to update council on our plans and where we last left off at our October meeting. But eager to hear council's thoughts on these plans and these proposals. Again, as we look to potentially dedicate $2.5 million of ARPA toward these downtown improvements. Randy.
Hi, Jack. I guess I'll start this off. Thank you again for all your work on this, and I think it's a very exciting time for the downtown area, and I felt that way after our conversation, so thank you for that. I do have a couple questions, however. Is it appropriate to me to ask questions regarding some of the stuff we went over?
Yes.
As far as pictures? So we talk about the plaza. I guess my one, and I don't know if this is the time or not to bring this up, but what is so based on what I'm hearing, is you plan on keeping the plaza in existence as it is, and then putting seating in there? Is that permanent?
Yeah,
right
so
now,
I'll try to paint the
okay.
picture again. Essentially, it would be total reconstruction. So that means demolishing the existing structures that are on the plaza, replacing the underground utilities that are also old, and then repaving it. So fresh pavement, and we think activating it, right? So with the outdoor seating, the enhanced lighting, so that's the decorative lighting elements that we'd be adding, the new landscaping, smaller things such as, branded garbage cans, metal steel cans that are more sturdy down there. After talking with some of the restaurant owners downtown, the idea that there could be cafe seating that's uniform, they know that it would increase their sales. They know it would help their business. And so Jenny Swanson actually sent us a contact for a potential vendor on these parklets. But it was interesting, after talking with that company, 90% of their business is actually from downtown organizations or municipalities. It's not from the businesses themselves. So it's these cities, it's these downtown entities working in partnership with the city, supporting their existing businesses by providing, these types of spaces. So in addition to that, there's also the multi-use turf space that would be adjacent to the pedestrian mall. It'd be turfing part of the lot, the city lot, directly adjacent to Daiquiri Factory, that could be used for special performances, again, different events. And we think that, for festivals, stages are already brought in for these different events and festivals, and so the same would be done with this new vision.
So my main reason for asking this, because presently, in my opinion, the plaza is a major source of loitering. And because there's places to sit, loiter during the day, how are we going to address, now is this seating that we're talking about? You're talking about seating, is it permanent seating? Are we talking about putting benches up? What are we doing to address those concerns throughout the daytime hours?
So these images, they're not completely to scale, but these parklets essentially they're a bit taller. And so these would be dedicated seating for the private establishments on the plaza. And so this project would demolish the other planters and the other structures that may encourage some loitering, some daytime loitering that we're experiencing on the plaza. So we think that this this dedicated seating for the established businesses on the plaza, it's private. They're operating it, and they're more enclosures as well. So that's the scope here. And the other piece of it is, if with the space being taken care of and really having that attractive look and being actively used the way that it was designed to use, because plazas, when used properly, it's that great community gathering space, and really is designed to support and benefit the adjacent businesses on that plaza. And so the designs that we have here, the vision, we believe will really help lead to continued commercial growth on the plaza. Get people excited who are currently investing there, but also get other business interests to the plaza as well.
I totally understand what you're saying. I buy into all that. My biggest concern is the daytime loitering, and we hear that over and over and over again from businesses downtown. Don't want to go to lunch because you got people hanging out down there. I don't want us just kind of keeping the same problem, just making it newer.
So there's no area to sit or loiter on this unless they're sitting on the ground in this new vision.
Okay, last question for you real quick. Are there any accommodations made for handicap accessibility? So if you've got a business in this plaza area and you have a handicapped person who might like to go to those places, how is that going to tie into this? How is their accessibility going to be?
Yeah, so what's cool about the parklets is that, and it's not represented in this rendering, but we got quotes specifically to address that so that there would be ADA accessible ramps to access these parklets to make them more accommodating. But as well, if you're looking to access the plaza from other areas, as we reconstruct it, it would be done in a way that is accessible and accommodating to all.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
I have a question when you say that you're limiting this from 1st to 4th Avenue, 15th to 21st Street, is that correct?
Yes, specifically focusing on the core of our downtown historic district.
Okay. I know that when we looked at this from the onset, we were looking at, we were going up to 7th Avenue and over, I believe it was 24th Street. And can you tell me why that the outlying areas have been eliminated?
Yeah, so Mark, I think when we talk about potential downtown organization, which is not the topic of tonight's discussion, servicing the downtown area or the greater downtown neighborhood, we see the greater downtown area extending beyond the boundaries that I put in front of you tonight. We're focusing on the core of the downtown historic district just because we're trying to invest our money in the core and expand from there. So initially when I started, and this kind of shows how we've evolved these plans over time, the plaza was the key focus area. Downtown Rock Island Steering Committee was told that we need to focus on the plaza. What are the next steps? And we see this as a way to expand from there. So essentially build outward from there. So I hope that answers your question. The idea of, the area that we call downtown and the area that we service and promote definitely expands beyond there. It goes from Botanical Center, Wake Brewing Campus, all the way to west of Centennial Bridge. So,
especially if we're looking at the history of Rock Island, we're going out to 24th Street where the wood mills were, and what actually started Rock Island, what built Rock Island.
Yes.
In the area of 24th Street, the Warehouser, I think it is, whatever it is. My next question is parking. How are we going to expand parking in the downtown area for our businesses? Hopefully, we're going to expand businesses, and we need a place for people to park.
Good question. I know that dollars have been set aside for the public parking ramp downtown, and eager to be part of discussions there as time moves on about the future of that, the parking garage, and what we do with that. But I do believe that, you know, the elements, again, that we're focused on with this will create that buzz, will show that tangible impact in downtown, that we do invite new businesses to the community. And, you know, then we figure out the parking constraints, if there are any. But I look forward to conversations around the public parking ramp and next steps for that.
Trust me, there are parking constraints down there. I've already heard it from people downtown, and that was the big question. That was the first question that was asked. What are we going to do about parking? Even the current business owners downtown have asked, what are we going to do about parking? So I think it is something that if we haven't addressed it, we need to start thinking about it so that we have answers when they come to us saying, you know, we're all in, but we need to know what is your plan for the improved traffic or increased traffic that we are surely going to see down there.
Yep. No, I appreciate that, Mark. I'm looking forward to more conversation around that.
And I'm very impressed with what you've done so far. So
Thanks, Mark.
And I just
I-
want to say, oh, go ahead, Dylan.
I was just going to add real quick an observation or some commentary regarding the loitering. I think it is important to keep in mind that infrastructure improvements is not, you know, a silver bullet. It is part of the overall scope of what we're looking to do in downtown Rock Island to address the chronic complaints that we all hear. And I think that's what's so exciting about what Jack is doing, right? Even though Jack just said he's not going to talk about it, we are talking about the creation of a new downtown place management organization that, as we heard from him back in October, has a specific line item in the proposed budget for ambassadors. We'll just put it that way for right now, right? And so updating the Ped Mall just by itself, I would agree, Alderman Hurt, is not going to address the loitering potentially long term. However, doing all of these pieces together at once will be the solution. And that is what is really exciting to me. I think Jack has provided some good leadership on developing this vision of programming, of having that sort of sustainable entity that exists that can maintain the infrastructure while also updating the infrastructure. And frankly, it's the wisdom of all of us on this council that had the foresight to take our TIF dollars and instead of just dumping them all in updating the Ped Mall, like we had discussed, we took $250,000 and we entered into this partnership with the chamber because we understood that just updating the infrastructure alone would just have us result in the same place that we are now in 20 years or less. And so I hear you, and I'm looking forward to this multi-pronged effort to revitalize downtown Rock Island.
And I just wanted to say, I mean, I think what you've presented is amazing. I think it's great. That State of Illinois Rebuild Downtown Grant, boy, at the Convention and Visitors Bureau conference last week in Chicago, that was all the buzz. And there are a lot of people from this area that are really, really, you know, hoping that Rock Island applies for it and gets that grant. And I guess I just want to say, my feeling is, if we as a city do not invest in our downtown, how on earth do you expect anyone else to invest in it? So if we want to grow our downtown as a city, we have to put money into it and invest in it, because you can't expect the business owners to carry the whole burden. It's a partnership that we have. And then I promised one of my residents I would bring this up, and I talked to you about it. So as we get the whole downtown area redone, revitalized and everything, can we look at putting more Christmas decorations up and possibly doing a tree lighting
There you go.
next year?
There you go.
Yeah, it sounds great. It does. And, you know, the WHBF tower could be a really cool component of that. If that's part of a, you know, parade of lights or some sort of special program or event that we could host. I will say that if you do walk around downtown tonight, there are some really cool decoration setups and lighting, not only that the city's done on Centennial Bridge and around that area, what the Parks Department's done at Schwiebert, but then the individual businesses, you know, from Modern Women to Royal Neighbors with their red and green spotlights to Huckleberries to all the snowflakes on Second Ave. So we do have some great assets, some cool decorations right now, but yes, we got to build on it for sure.
Did you have some question? Go ahead.
So, yeah, this all sounds great. I concur with Alderman Hurt about the loitering, safety, security issue, that if we don't resolve that first, we can throw all the money in the world at downtown, and it's not going to help it. That being said, and I know you said you didn't want to talk about it tonight, but it is part of it, because I was reminded last week that is your mission to develop a placemaking organization, not to fix the safety issues of downtown. But so, and we've had these conversations, that there is, I don't know if it's substantial opposition to a special service area, but there is definitely some opposition that needs to be taken care of. So you're asking for $2.5 million of our ARPA dollars, which is 10% of the money that we have. And we haven't had a discussion about the ARPA dollars in months. We have some members of council who are opposed to being a granting agency. We haven't even solicited public input yet on how to spend the dollars. And yet, you're coming to us, and we were just notified of this last Friday, and I believe Randy was only told on Wednesday, that you need a decision right away. So I'm open to making a decision if council's open to deciding at the same time how we spend all of the ARPA dollars. I'm opposed to piecemealing this out without an overall strategic plan for these dollars. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for these $26.5 million. So I strongly encourage that we quickly come up with some kind of plan for the deployment of this, because your grant isn't due to January 10th. So if need be, council can always have a special meeting to approve it. And I had also asked you, too, if the grant's written yet, so that we had something to look at. It's not written yet, is it?
Yes, it's near completion, so.
But when I just asked you that on Friday, you were like, no, it wouldn't be done till almost.
Well, we're putting the finishing touches on it, Judith, so
Okay.
both the narrative as well as the budget pieces.
So when will we have that to look at?
Well, I'm presenting to you the concepts and the components that are in it tonight. If you're wanting to read through the 25-page draft, that's something that we can arrange. But the goal of tonight's council study session was to essentially give you the overview, provide an overview of the varying components in it, as well as building the case with the state of why we need these funds for downtown Rock Island.
Well,
So I would say that, yes, you can definitely take a look at the application, but we're working as an extension of the city. So I've been working with Public Works Department, Community Economic Development staff, as well as our other partners on the project throughout this entire, throughout the entire project, putting these different pieces together, figuring out what the narrative should be. So, and I will say at our October meeting, we did say that we had planned to advocate for ARPA dollars to be used toward these downtown improvements. The reason for expediting that is because we did make contact with the state grant administrator, and they said that although it wasn't in the requirements of the funding opportunity, and so that's why it's evolved. After we talked, they said it most definitely strengthens an application when dollars are secured, they're locked in for the local match. And I will say, as far as public input goes, I think there has actually been a lot of public input around downtown. I would believe that most of your constituents have brought up downtown with you on at one time or another.
That wasn't what I was referring to. I agree with you. My own constituents keep bringing up downtown. I'm talking about public input. We have promised the public that we would have public input on how COVID has impacted them, what their needs are, and how they want to see the money spent. That's the public input I'm talking about. So there isn't a lot of time to get public input.
You're correct on that part, and that's why I guess I see this is that we can't control the deadline for this grant. There's not enough time to get public input between now and the 10th and have the grant written. And so I guess this is to me, we work on the exception. You got to deal with situations that pop up in front of you. You got to be able to dance when the music's on, and it's on. And so we can't miss an opportunity, and we miss the grant process or matching it. We've talked about ARPA monies actually multiplying by leveraging them with other organizations, whether it be other nonprofit grants, whether it be the state, whether it be the feds. And here's an opportunity to potentially leverage that, actually double it. You normally don't get a chance to double the money, and so we should be seizing that opportunity when we can. Just a second, and Randy.
I'm not done.
And that's fine. And second of all, that's where I guess that we deal with this individually, and we do need public input on the ARPA's monies and where else it goes. And we come back and follow up on that once we have the ARPA manager in place, and that process is moving forward. So I think that we need to seize that opportunity. I think it's a well-thought-out plan. There's been a lot of public input on the downtown area. I know it's not the ARPA funds, but the downtown area. There's been a lot of talk over the years, the different strategic plans and everything else, and this fits into that. So I think the public has spoke specifically about that. We just need to seize the opportunities that's here.
Thanks, Mike. And I think this will just help illustrate the importance, just briefly, Judith. You know, an extension of the public input, we know that due to the density or of all the economic activity that happens downtown, we know that when downtown thrives, the city will thrive. And so, I mean, these numbers up on the screen just give you a little insight into the true impact the downtown has on the overall city. So, although it's just shy of 2% of the entire city in terms of land area, it represents more than 6% of the total land value. And citywide sales tax revenue generated by downtown, although it's a smaller area, almost 10% of tax revenue is generated by the downtown businesses. So an investment in downtown really provides a higher return per dollar invested in other less productive areas of the community.
I'm not arguing with you about any of that.
Yeah.
I accept all of that as well. So when you submit the grant, it's due January 10th. When are you supposed to find out if the grant is awarded?
They have a 90-day window that they're working with. So it is their hope that they would be getting back to us, all applicants, in April.
Okay. And I have a question maybe Randy can answer since Mike Bartels is not here. With regard to the parking, so we have $1 million set aside for the parking garage. But if the garage is our only major parking facility in downtown, as all these other things are happening, do you remember what the cost was to fix the garage completely?
The total cost over several years was $4 million. Not all of those things would have to be done. Some of those could be cut out. Some were nice to have items. I will say on parking, unless Red, White, and Boom is downtown, there's unlimited parking downtown. There just isn't parking right in front of the place you want to go.
Oh,
But the parking garage is never full.
You got Modern Woodman parking
And it's
lot.
just, it's right there. And Lot D from Modern Woodman, which the city used to lease and doesn't, is right off 20th Street. We could probably open a lease agreement with them again. It never had any cars in it.
'Cause
20th Street is always open. All of the parking around here is always open, but it isn't, you might have to walk a block and a half or 2 blocks.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of parking in the downtown.
And we've seen some pretty cool partnerships come up during the pandemic. So, for example, Modern Woodman's lot on First Avenue between 18th and 17th. You know, they're not using that to its full capacity right now, so they're allowing some other businesses to use that lot. So we have seen some creative partnerships that have happened just during the downtime here.
I just wanted to follow up. So the $1 million that we did allocate out of TIF, that would cover the cost if we tore the garage down?
Yeah, that was the cost of either a demolition or the first round of repairs, and that's where we came up with $1 million.
Okay. Thank
A
you.
demolition and then a rebuild into a surface lot.
Okay, thanks.
Jack, one final comment from me. First of all, again, appreciate your work, and I, for one, will speak up and say I'm totally I'm in agreement with moving forward on this project. I mean, I understand we've still got a lot of work to do regarding the ARPA money, but I do think this is important. I feel like we're in a time-constrained situation here, and I don't think we should sit on this, so I give you my full support, and I trust in you, and I trust in the group, so you've got my support.
Is there somebody?
Thanks, Randy.
Is there somebody who'd like to, not make a motion because it's not an official deal, but I'd like to hear from those that'd like to see it on next week's agenda.
Well, I think, and we've already discussed how we can leverage our ARPA dollars. And if we have the opportunity to virtually double what we commit to, then I think we would be negligent not to go ahead and commit those dollars. And if we don't get the grant, then we can reevaluate at that time.
So,
I agree. I think if we do not allocate those dollars, you're basically sticking a stake in the heart of this city and just saying, we as a council don't care about the downtown. We don't care about businesses coming in. We don't care about growing our tax base. We don't care about making this a livable, workable city. If we do not invest in the city, then we're just walking away from this whole thing.
I'd like to see it real quick.
I just have one final
Yes,
question
go
for
ahead.
Jack. So the city's match includes the $1.5 million TIF dollars, correct?
Yes.
Plus the $2.5 million ARPA dollars. Does the $100,000 match count too?
Yep, that would be in there, and then as well as any other private investments for the alleyway work.
So we're putting in over $4 million. And the project, what you're asking from the state is $3 million.
Is 3, which is the maximum ask that you can
Right.
request.
So, and the minimum match is 50% local match, correct?
Yes.
So if you're matching over 100% of the ask, does that give you like even more points?
Exactly, and that's why I said that. That's the reason we're going over the threshold there, the 50%, is to better our chances at getting this. So checking as many boxes that we've learned throughout the grant application process, checking as many boxes as we can to bolster our chances at getting this and having a $7+ million injection into the central business district.
My recommendation also would be is that when we take a vote and if it passes and we do this, is that even if we don't get the grant, the money stays down there, you just scale back the project. It takes a little longer to get the total project done, but if you withdraw it all, then basically I'll say very, very little gets done and it doesn't make the impact that it needs to be. So Dylan, are you in support of bringing it up next council meeting?
Yes, sounds like a decision has to be made.
Randy?
I'll second that, yeah.
Judith?
Okay,
Yes.
Okay, so we have a full house here that is agreed that we bring this up in the,
So we'll probably do it via a resolution. I guess my question, to get back what you said, do we want to make this contingent on the grant? And then if we don't get the grant, it rolls back into the ARPA funds, and then the downtown would make a different grant request, from the ARPA funds? Or do we just want to allocate the money whether we get the grant or not? That's how we're going to write the resolution.
I say we allocate it.
I say we allocated, the ARPA funds were to invest in the city, and this is probably the best investment in the city I've heard in a long time.
Agreed.
Mark?
Great.
I'm okay with that. I just wanted to make sure that we leave our options open. And if council, if the majority of council believes that that's the way we want to go, then I'll support it.
Dylan?
I'm not sure I share that sentiment. I am in support of being firmly, committed to allocating ARPA dollars to match the grant if we receive it from the state. But if we fail to receive the grant from the state, I don't think that the money should just be automatically put into a bank, figure of speech for downtown Rock Island. I think we should revisit it at that time.
Andy?
I said I would allot it.
Okay. Everybody, Judith? I don't know.
I agree with Dylan.
And, Jenny, we heard from you, so. All right.
And Mark would go with the majority, he could go either way, so.
Well, I think it's a good idea. I mean, if we're going to commit, then let's just go.
Yep.
Okay?
Great.
All right, we need to find out what Alderman Robinson wants in this area. So you want to just commit it all, right? You don't?
Then if it appears that council is
Well,
set,
we're split right now. You're the decider of the people that are here.
then I will unsplit it. We commit right now.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Any other questions of them? But we need to move on to the next topic.
Okay.
Thank you very
Great.
much.
Appreciate it.
All right. Liz, how we doing?
Great, how's everybody?
Good. Update on Dari, huh?
Here we go. Yes, in front of you is a third quarter. It's a report through September 30th, so this is kind of a third quarter report plus, because we're almost to the end of the year. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you, for all the great work you've been doing this year to help us move forward. As you may recall, in March of 2020, we signed a partnership agreement between Dari and the city, and we put together an economic development team that has been very focused on several deliverables, and that's what I'm going to talk about tonight, where we're at within that agreement. And this is our economic development team, as you know. I do want to note, Morgan has left. She resigned this month and has taken on a new role, motherhood, and she's going to be working from home, and then also has another contract where she has an opportunity to work from home. So we miss her already, and we are going to be talking about how we might replace her. But tonight, we're going to also talk about her marketing plan and some of the things that she's been doing. So just real quickly on, where our money comes and where do we spend our money, I thought it'd be good for you folks just to get an understanding. Our income, so we have membership, businesses, and we're a business-driven organization, and we have membership dues, so we have like 22% of our income is derived from our members. City partnerships, about 44%. We also have property revenue. As you know, Dari owns several commercial properties, the majority of which are downtown. And then we have a really interest income. There's 0% right there. As far as expenditures go, that chart shows you what we spend our time and money on. And as you can see, business assistance is about 20%. And then we also have an economic development, another 20%. We have the Live, Work, Rock Island program, which we'll talk about a little bit here, community marketing, and then also our property expenses for those buildings that I just mentioned, and then operating is about 7%. In terms of investment in Rock Island, so you can see on this chart, this goes through September again. We've invested a little over $1 million in Rock Island, and if you look at the members, it's about $275,000, and then City of Rock Island, your contribution, $225,000, and then bridge investment. Those are several loans and grant programs, or forgivable loans, that were provided to Rock Island businesses. As far as our work plan goes, we basically have that 8-point plan of key areas that we have agreed to work on over the 3-year contract with the city. And if you recall, in March 2022, we'll be completing our second year of the 3-year agreement. So up there talks about our 8 core areas that we take on within our work plan. So I'm going to give you an update on those key areas. So the first one, business resources, our whole game plan has been one location for business information and resources, and that's been kind of the concept of our economic development team. We have an office downtown, and we try to work collaboratively when we're working with businesses or on projects. We really like to say we're the Rock Island Economic Development Team and not get so much into this is Dory or this is City and that kind of thing. We want to be really a one-stop shop, and it's been very effective so far. And so what we did is we developed, and we've talked quite a bit about this in the past, but we've developed and maintained a database, or it's a platform, data platform called Forward. And that provides a lot of information on resources that are available to our businesses. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second on some of those resources that our businesses have benefited from. But this is a really good database because it is also becoming our directory of businesses. And one of the things that we'd like to do here shortly, we did get an upgrade for it's called a CRM system within the platform. And hopefully, moving forward, we're going to be able to have geographical searches, the business services, searchability, like, what kind of businesses are available, search by business type. And one of the things we want to look at next is also, can we do payments? Can the city actually do like liquor licensing from the platform? Can they look at licensing types of applications within this system? It's something that the city of Moline has done, and it's something that we're just starting to talk a little bit about. So after the first of the year, we'll take a look at what would it take to have that data, that database system enhanced. So far this year, we've had 45 email campaigns, and those are basically sending out information on different things going on that are of benefit to the businesses. We have over 1,000 businesses that are in the database, and of which 853 have completed the profile. So again, those profiles hopefully will become a directory of such that we can do searchability and have that information available. We've had 48 resources that are currently available on or in the database system at local, state, and federal. And we have Resource Fridays. So Stacy, I think you all are on that Resource Friday email. She sends something out every week to talk about what resources are available, what webinars are out there, and those kinds of things for our businesses. And the thing that's been critical with that Friday, Resource Fridays, is all of the COVID information and all of the resources that have been available to the businesses. And you're going to see in a second why that has been so successful. We did have a quick little kind of a session for we invited council members to come over and look at get a better understanding of Forward. We want to do that again, and we're also going to be doing that with department heads and staff in 2022. So the next work plan area is business development, attract and expand new investment in Rock Island, and quite honestly, this is probably where we spend the most of our time in terms of providing technical assistance and helping our businesses with anything and everything that they need. And from an economic development perspective, whether there's business expansions, whether it's a business retention, whether we're responding to requests for information for businesses that may want to attract or come to Rock Island. So I'm going to quickly go over some of this. So in the pipeline, and when we talk about in economic development world, what are we working on from that business expansion, retention, and business attraction perspective? We've had 662 business engagements, and a lot of it has to do with, I think, getting that information out to our businesses every week, and they want more information. So those are more of the person-to-person discussions that we have with businesses. Right now, there's 67 business expansion and traction projects this year that we're working on. And so far this year, we've had Actually, we just met today, our economic development team, and there's 16 new businesses that have started in Rock Island this year, which I think is incredible when you think about the world we've lived in for the last 2 years. So new investments, and we'll have a great celebration here. After the first of the year, we will do our annual report. The mayor will do his state of the city, and we're going to have hopefully a lot of discussion on what great things have been happening and occurring within our business community. One thing that's pretty cool is right now, there's $60 million in planned capital investment, which means those are truly businesses, well, actually two in the city has a project in here as well, but those are planned capital investments going into 2022. And that's pretty incredible, again, when you think about what's going on in the world. And instead of being a year ago when we were looking at retention, we are looking at businesses who truly are working on expansions. So that's kind of the list, many of them that we already know. But the three that we can't name yet, and hopefully we'll be able to name them in first quarter 2022, are 2 manufacturing facility expansions, and then also a machining company. And so with all of those, when you add it up, it's about $60 million of planned investment. So pretty good year so far, right? The next area is business corridors, and this is where we're working to help engage corridors, business corridors. It hasn't been as good this year in terms of getting together with our corridors. We've met with NPC 11 a couple of times. The other groups have not been meeting. A lot of it has to do, unfortunately, with COVID. We're really going to look at 2022 as getting together with the corridors and some of these groups and talking about what are those recommendations that we see within some of those business corridors that you can consider next year. But I do want to mention the 11th Street corridor. We've actually had quite a few projects in that area as well. But if you recall, when I think we were here in maybe June, talking about the 11th Street corridor, we were thinking about maybe having a maker's market or like a farmer's market kind of activity in the 11th Street corridor. And then in working with our partners, MLK and the Family Day, we thought, instead of us trying to do our own thing, why not work cooperatively with them? And so we partnered with them and provided financial assistance for businesses to attend who couldn't necessarily afford, registration and those kinds of things. And then we also helped pay for other things related to the event. And it was one of their best years they've ever had. We were able to double the number of businesses who participated, and then like some of the food trucks along in that kind of thing. So it was a great event, and we were very honored to be a part of that. So next year, we'll take a look and see what we should be doing in 11th Street corridor. Something might look a little bit differently, but this was a great idea. Instead of us going out and doing something on our own, why not cooperate and work together with an existing program. Housing. Now, so that's another area. We don't necessarily deliver housing programs, but what we're all about is marketing what we have and what are those resources available. And you may recall, I think, again in June, Morgan presented the housing guide that we put together for all the different programs and services that are available related to housing. And it sits on our website, and then it also sits on the city's website. And some of the things for 2022 are to look at, one of the goals, I think, was the new residential housing development discussion. I think we're going to be taking a look at that as it aligns with the city council's goals. What is it that we can do in 2022? The other thing is sharing information about, again, there's the website with the housing guide. But one of the other things is the sharing of information for housing programs, particularly as it relates to talent attraction and workforce. Excuse me. Live Work Rock Island is one of our most, one of our most effective programs, and that's a list of who participated this year. Right now, we have had 16, and I think we're going to have one more closing, and it will be in Augustana employee. But if you recall, Live Work Rock Island is all about helping with down payment assistance. We also we're fortunate, we had a program through state of Illinois. The money went fast, but it was a debt forgiveness program to coincide with some of these homeownership programs. So it was a very, very good program. But our job is really to get out the word about these programs and to have our members and businesses work cooperatively in helping their employees find homes. And so if you remember, the 400th home buyer, we did present at a press conference in August, excuse me, that happened to be a Rock Island employee.
If I can interrupt real quick, I believe we were the DARI was the prototype in the state of Illinois for
Yes,
this, back when
yes.
it first started, and is now on the 9th or 10th version or funding of that. So we were the
Yes.
prototype in the whole state of Illinois.
Yes, we're in the 11th round. We just
11th round.
received the 11th round, and if you look at those numbers there, you know, we'll do another 54. They're looking at another 54 home buyers, 6.2 million in this new program. And this actually goes back to over 31 million has already been spent in Rock Island because of this program. And so it's just been very effective. And why? Well, you know, it helps improve housing stock. You have an educated home buyer, and then also increase property taxes. And we get some homes that haven't been on the property tax rolls, they're back on the property tax rolls. But from our perspective, one of the greatest things is this unique tool for workforce attraction. And it's something that employers across the nation are looking for, and it's something that we have and we've delivered here for 30 years. So, pretty neat. And then the next area is financial assistance. Again, this is something that we do a lot of work on, whether we're helping a business expand, they need financial assistance, right? And so we did put together a business guide. As I mentioned, 48 resources are on the Forward database. We also put together a resource guide on how to start a business, and we presented that to council in June. And then we serve as an initial point of contact, you know, again, 667 engagements this last year with our businesses. And then identifying new financial assistance programs and policies. We started taking a look at what incentives are out there from a federal level, from a state level, and then what are those gaps? You know, what can we look at here in Rock Island? Excuse me. We kind of put a pause on that until we look more at the 2022 council goals. What is it that you want us to take a look at? And also ARPA money. Obviously, we need to know what sources are out there to help with some of these program needs. And so ARPA is going to be a big part of that. And so, hey, if you want me to present tonight on a possible ARPA request, I can do that. So no, we're going to come back next year with some ideas on how we see the businesses needing some of the assistance programs, and ARPA is certainly going to be a viable resource to do that. Again, so financial assistance to businesses. So this year, and this is actually doesn't include everything. It doesn't include like those 48 resources, like there's some of the businesses have had PPP loans. They've had all sorts of other programs through COVID, for example. But this is a list of the financial assistance that our businesses have received and that we've been involved in helping facilitate some of those programs. And so obviously, round two, the city's COVID money, $375,000. Facade funding, we've done about $64,000 between DARI and the city's program. Shuttered venue operators grant, $2 million. Restaurant revitalization, over $3 million. Back to business grant, and that's still going, but we've got about $230,000 so far for our businesses. That's almost $6 million. Excuse me, about $6 million that we've received or helped facilitate in Rock Island. Excuse me. Okay, so the next area is product development, and that's really about the inventory, helping with our businesses, helping looking at sites and buildings. I'm sorry, I have like a sore throat thing going on. I probably shouldn't be here, but thank you.
Not been open, so you're fine.
Okay, thank you. So site inventory, that's one of our big key areas. Thank you. And so in looking at what buildings, what sites are available for our businesses to expand or even attract new investment. And so that's a big part of our area. So vacant properties recommendation is something else that was on our list of things to do. We've started a database, and Miles has started the database of listing out city-owned, DARI-owned, growth-owned properties, and we have that on the website. And now we're working on trying to make a kind of a GIS or an interactive map that will sit on the website. So when people are talking about what properties are available and for sale within the city-owned property, it's there. And so we'll hopefully have that in 2022. And then, again, you know, the sites that we've been looking at, you folks have already received like an economic development agreement for QCIC. There's work going on in that area. Southwest Business Park and then that Southwest Industrial area, we've been trying to look at some growth opportunities there. And then in 2022, we're going to take a look at the former Watchtower site on 11th Street and what might be some tools that we could do for marketing or looking at different site plans for that area. And then also in 2022, early 2022, we're going to probably bring a proposal to you for the Sunset Business Park, some ideas on a redevelopment concept. Marketing communication, as I mentioned, Morgan's gone, but boy, she built the infrastructure, so we're ready to go. And so however we replace her, we're going to have a lot of things done so that whoever comes in, it'll be that next stage of now we need to do our storytelling. You know, she's done the website, she has LinkedIn, she has the social media down, and then a lot of our marketing concepts or plans. So whoever we replace, and we're thinking about in partnership with the city, as you're looking at your communication needs, making sure we bring somebody in that's going to help be more comprehensive in what the city's needs are. So something we'll look at after the first of the year. But again, we've brought a lot of the things to you that Morgan has developed, the business guide, the housing guide, and some of those things. And also, she's done a couple of campaigns. These are free marketing campaigns that have been there for Rock Island businesses. And the beauty of this is that our businesses can get out there and get the social media and get free advertising. And so we've had 2 very successful campaigns. Celebrations, we've done quite a few celebrations and ribbon cuttings. We had as you all know, the recent federal courthouse, we were able to participate with the Russell demolition ceremony, and most recently the Holy Grinds Coffee out in the 11th Street corridor. So we've been trying to do those, and then also in partnership, the chamber is, for example, this week they have one with Sweet Tooth Snacks. So there's a lot of things going on, and it's great that we are taking time to celebrate and really recognize the businesses that are doing great things. So the marketing plan, I don't know what time. What? 6:22? Okay. So why Rock Island? We talked a little bit about this in June, and basically what this is going to be our next stage, our next campaign, and this is about coming up with a marketing plan so that Rock Island is a great place to live and do business. And so it's going to encompass quite a bit of different things, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a competition for businesses, individuals, but primarily high school students who live in Rock Island. And we raised money at our golf outing last summer, and one of the best, I think it was a record-breaking year. And so we're taking those funds and we're going to put together a scholarship. And it's going to be related to the to the Why Rock Island campaign. And so we're going to ask basically a competition of why Rock Island, and they're going to develop their own marketing pieces, whether it's a proposal or a video or something along the line of we can just put a, I don't know, TikTok, but putting things together that why Rock Island is such a great place and from their perspective. So we're going to have this competition, but the one beauty is that we have the ability to use some of that information in our own marketing as well. And who else can tell a better story than the people who live here? So that's going to happen next year. And at the end of it, we're going to award a scholarship to one college, high school student for college. And so we are getting together with the schools in January, and that's kind of the timeline of a deadline in spring, and then we'll award it by May so that they will have that for their fall enrollment. And then the last area is our partnerships. Again, you know, economic development's team sport. I always say that. And so we are involved with several different regional, local, state partners in all the work that we do. And that's kind of a list of the different folks we work with. And then I do want to talk again about the marketing, the business case. We've been taking time with our partners on the amenities and talking about why Rock Island. So over several months at the DARI board meetings, we've been showing the how do we rank? How do we compare? What are our amenities? What are the things that that we do well here in Rock Island? And you can look at, like we looked at a lot of data related to crime, rating of public schools, housing, and all those kinds of things. And so we hope then to take that information and build that into the marketing plan that I just mentioned. The fact that we want to incorporate the quality of place, quality of life, and the why Rock Island into our marketing, and then telling the story, why Rock Island is a great place to do business. And the last thing, it's hard to read, but we're starting on this journey of taking a look at business-friendly community. Are we? Are we a business-friendly community? And we have a lot of people who say, well, you're not business-friendly, or you are business-friendly, or why can't we be more business-friendly? Well, we don't really know, but it means different things to different people. And so I put this in here for us to start talking about in 2022 and measuring this is based on 10 signs of a business-friendly community. It came out of Area Development, which is kind of a professional journal that I belong to. And this is an article that says these are 10 things that a business-friendly community does. And so what we'd like to do is kind of go through those things, again, working with our partners of figuring out, what does it mean, and then take a look at us internally and seeing if we fit those things, and if not, how can we improve in those different areas. So our next steps, one of the things is your new council goals and the strategic plan. We want to take a look at those in 2022 and make sure we align our work plan for this next year, that it fits what it is you want us to be doing. There may be some things in our work plan that don't really make sense anymore, but we'll do that in 2022. We'll have our annual meeting in January, but we're also going to make that a year in review. So it'll be all about reporting the great successes, and it'll come out right after the mayor does his State of the City, and we'll do our celebrating in January.
So, can I start?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to commend our entire economic development team. We have Tara, Stacy, and Liz, and sorry to see Morgan leave. First of all, the thoroughness of your work plan and continuing to keep us informed. And really, when I tell people what's being accomplished, how much money's getting invested, they're like, really? So, are you going to have a media release on some of this information?
We can. What you have, again, is through September, and we're going to update that, and we definitely can. I mean, that's something, yeah.
Well, you can never have enough media releases about how great things are going, and then I'd be happy to put that on my website. But I just want to commend you all, and it really amazes me how much Morgan got done in the short amount of time she was with the team. She was part-time, and, I mean, it was just amazing, really. And like you said, she has laid out the infrastructure, and we have something to build on now.
Yes, absolutely. And she's definitely missed this PowerPoint I did myself, and you can tell it's not to her quality, but yes, thank you.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Dylan?
All good from my end.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you very much.
I'll reiterate that too, again, compliment the working together, and, we talk about partnerships and teams and everything else, and you guys have really made it seamless, working with, and I've been fairly close to the that part of it, and working together has been outstanding. The response time to businesses, and big and small, has been great. I'm gonna add Miles to that too, because obviously he's been a key part. There's a lot of people that have been involved, but the Daugherty organization and Tara and Miles, it's just, it's amazing. And even Jack, to a certain degree, it's amazing how well it all fits together, and it almost acts as it's one organization. So thank you for the partnership and commitment.
Thank you. And thank you to Randy. He's been our fearless leader throughout this, and we're going to miss him. And we are going to, though, give him the ability, we're going to keep sending agendas to him because we meet weekly, and he can attend at any time.
Yes, it's
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. All right. I guess we can need to motion, we don't adjourn out of this, huh? So moved, is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay, we need to do roll call.
Alderperson Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.